One. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Daft on Draft podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Miller, joined as always by my co host, Corey Cannon. And this is, for full transparency, the second podcast we are recording today. That is right. We are doing a front and back end podcast recording, one for me in the morning, one for me at night. Corey has gotten to sleep in between it. Lucky him. I have not, but I have my decaf Americano here with me before I hit the hay after this one. But I might not be able to sleep. And I might not be able to sleep because today we are talking about the Oregon defense. And the Oregon defense is one that I am actually quite excited about. And I'm excited about it because it's the summer. Okay. And because in the summer, we can project and we can dream that these guys are going to take the next step. And there are a couple of guys here that are already productive, but could also take the next step if they want to be high caliber NFL draft prospects. But like I said, I cannot do this alone. Corey, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm gonna take a little it's 2:51 p.m. here now as we're wrapping up the second recording of the day, and we recorded. It was midnight for me, my first one. I'm gonna take a little nap before I go pick my kids up from daycare. So I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Ready to talk some Oregon defense.
Let's get right into it. We're going to go front to back here, and we're going to go with a player who I don't believe Corey got to, but I did. Corey said, I'm not interested in this guy. He's been on 7 teams in 3 years. I don't care about him. Well, guess what? He's a 5-star.
More or less.
So I do care about him. And that is Bear Alexander. And I actually tweeted about this. I tweeted out a video of him or a tweet about him. And somebody said, yeah, he might not play down for Oregon. He might transfer before he even starts, which is not untrue.
On brand, yeah.
I believe this is his third team. He started at Georgia, went to USC, was really productive for USC in 2023. He struggled, I guess, at the start of 2024, got into a fight with the coaching staff and got redshirted and then transferred. So an interesting start to the career.
And that's after attending like 3 high schools as well, by the way.
Well, yeah, but I'm pretty sure one of them was like IMG. So he ended up going like, that's the caliber of high school player that we're talking about. And you see that in his athleticism. To me, if everything, what's up?
He's twitched up.
If everything comes together, this is somebody who reminds me of a Jeffrey Simmons type player, where he's 300 pounds, but can legitimately play nose tackle. Like he is twitched up, explosive, strong as an ox. He's able to convert speed to power at a very high rate. But he's got to stay on the damn field, man. He's got to stay on the field. We have to get some production off of him. Because we haven't seen him really since 2023. And when you are that talented, and this goes back to what Corey is saying, when you are that talented, you can make up for your character flaws. But if those character flaws are so bad and you are still that talented, but you can't get on the field, that's when we have to really start questioning, does this guy have what my dad always used to say with pitchers that and baseball players that he grew up with? $1 million arm, 10-cent head. And that might be what we're looking at with Bear Alexander. And that would be upsetting because a defensive tackle with the name of Bear is literally perfect.
It is. It is. He's got the reputation of a bag chaser right now. That's kind of his thing. And so, we'll see draft eligible year. The next step of chasing that bag is going to the NFL. So if you wanna lock in, now's the time. He's got solid talent around him as well to keep him kind of clean. So we'll see what happens there. I'm gonna let it play out a little bit in 2025. I mean, I watched some 2024 last year just because he could have declared last year if he wanted to, but again, he didn't play a whole lot and redshirted, and then so yeah, here we are.
Yeah.
He's got to show it.
He's listed at 6'3", 313. I think he was probably closer to 300 pounds when he was at Georgia or when he was at USC. He didn't look quite that big. But yes, he is entering his 4th year. So worth taking a look at. Also worth taking a look at the 2 edge rushers for the Oregon Ducks. That is Matayo Uiagaleilei and Tatum Tui Oti. Number 10, number 44. Mateo is the first off the bus guy. Mateo is also like 19 years old right now.
He is 19. And in Phil Knight's kingdom, he might hang around a little while longer past 2026.
Yeah, very young, 5-star, younger brother of DJ
Uiagaleilei, yep.
Who I also was a fan of at one point. We're not going to talk about that. But with Mateo, man, I know we're going to argue about him a little bit here, but I don't think we're going to argue too much because right now he's more of a concept than he is anything else.
Agreed.
He's the first off the bus guy, and that's kind of an understatement. He's tall, long, lean. He's got everything. He's super young heading into year 3. He's got ankle flexion at 6'5", 270. He's got a really nice right hand wipe, flashing cross chop and rip. He flashed a spin move. He's got outside in versatility. He's got the length and the drive to convert speed to power, but he doesn't freaking use it. He doesn't use it at all. He's flashed it maybe once or twice in the 3 games that I watched, but he has the physical ability and he has the frame and the explosiveness to where you would say just run through an MFer's chest every once in a while. Set up your arc rush because he wants to win on the arc. He wants to be a speed rusher.
He's good at winning on the arc, yeah.
And he's good at winning up the arc. It reminds me a little bit of Landon Jackson. But what you see from Tatum on the opposite side is really feigning and really setting up that outside rush and then planting that outside foot and stamping through the chest of offensive tackles. He's got Tatum's got a lot of like Jack Sawyer, TJ Watt to him where it's like he's gritty as hell. He might not be like as talented as the guys who produce at the same rate as he does, but he just kind of like plays harder and has the grit and has that like feel for the football. But Uiagaleilei, man, what I like about him is I think that he's already a decent run defender at 19, cognitively, physically. I think that he has it. I think that his issues right now for me and what kind of limits him overall is I think the burst is just kind of average. And at 270, that's okay. But if your burst is average at 270, you have to be able to win through the chest. And he can't. I think that he plays way too high, way too often. And I think part of that is a conditioning issue. Because when he is tired, you can tell because he plays straight up off of the snap. And so, yeah, those are kind of my issues. He just needs to be more, he needs a more well-rounded game coming off of the edge. And he needs to be more consistent. But he's 19.
Yeah. You mentioned he has a decent floor as a run defender. I think I would push back on a little bit on that. I think he can set an edge, but like he's not stout. So I saw him get bumped off the line quite a bit in the 2 games. I watched Penn State and then I watched Washington were the 2 games that I watched.
I watched Purdue, Ohio State 1.0 and Ohio State 2.0.
Okay. And I was like, this is the guy we're talking about as a first round pick. Like that's kind of how I left my viewing. Because like again, I'm kind of reframing how I evaluate edge rushers a little bit. I used to look for like guys. I used to say like if you don't have bend, you can't win at the NFL level, and pass rush bag was really important. Like you had to have very diverse hands, things like that. Now, as time has gone on, and we have seen who have been productive at the NFL level early. Jared Verse, Will Anderson, guys who have gone early in like the past few classes, and Leatu Latu is a little bit of a curveball to that because he is not a power guy. He is almost exclusively a bend and pass rush bag guy, but he also wasn't super productive as successful as a rookie either. And I'm not writing guys off after rookie seasons, but that's more to say like I have to see power profile now. Like that's my new lens that I'm evaluating edge rushers through is like you've got to show me you can convert speed to power. And I don't think I saw it a single time in those two games that I watched. The Big Ten championship game and then that Washington game. And that's a pretty big red flag. Like I need to see through the chest. I need to see it. The bend is awesome. The ankle flexion at his side at 270 is awesome. Great. The cross chop, awesome. He goes to it all the time. But I got to see something. I got to see some sort of power profile. Because like if you have bend in like pass rush prowess, that's great. But if you don't have power, you don't have a floor. And that's scary.
Yeah, I think I see it in the run game. Like naturally, I think I see that natural power. He just refuses to use it in the as a pass rusher.
We'll
And
see.
that
It would be different too if I saw like the punch, and I don't really see a punch either. So like if I saw an initial punch, even if his pads were high, like I'd be like, oh, okay, I could see the punch in his hands, but like I just think he's kind of soft right now. At least right now.
yeah, I mean, he might be, but I think it's tough to call him soft as well when you do see such good hands as well.
All the hand stuff is finessey though, like cross chopping and
You still have to
hand
have power in
swiping.
your hands to be able
I
to
guess so.
connect on those, and for them to be good, effective moves.
That's fair.
It's different, but
He
it
also
is.
didn't. I was trying to find a game against a high quality offensive lineman, and the best I have is Drew Shelton, Penn State's left tackle, and that was the Big Ten championship game. He got Drew Shelton a couple times outside shoulder, but again, nothing through the chest, and like that was really it in terms of high caliber offensive lineman he played. Because again, Josh Simmons tore his patellar tendon in the first quarter of that first matchup against Oregon, so like we didn't get to see that matchup.
I think it was the second quarter, but
Was it the second quarter in the first half of that game? So like.
yeah.
There's not a lot of like resume games out there for Matayo either.
He's also 19.
I'm not writing him off. I'm just gonna write him in lower going into the season.
Yeah. The first round talk. I mean, for any of these guys that I've watched so far, really isn't really there for me. But Tuioti, like I said, just kind of a dog. You know what I mean? Like this is kind of the way that I see him. I don't know what his ceiling is, but he is a very, very fun player to watch because he plays so damn hard. But I will say, defensively against the run, is he is very, very keen to key the offensive line and what they're doing.
Yep.
And completely losing where the football is.
Yep.
Completely losing where the football is.
I wrote bad backside contain on my notes.
If you run, if you mesh and have the offensive tackle to his side pull to power on that mesh, he is gone, and that quarterback is gone as well.
Yes.
But yeah, that's about all I have to say about him. Let's get to my favorite evaluation of all of these guys, which is pretty fun to say because I really, really like one of these corners too. But Bryce Bocher, man, linebacker,
dude, he's bat out of hell.
Quick trigger. He's got impressive eyes. He keys QB running back mesh point really well. Mm-hmm. He's quick to flip and trigger. He has good initial burst. He's got good pop at the point of attack.
Firm tackler.
He's got a strong base, wide arms, wraps up well. I
kind of wonder why this guy didn't declare last year.
Innate feel for finding the football. He's active hands, appropriate violence when he's taking on climbing blockers. He's also slippery when he doesn't want to get touched at the second level. He's got that Notre Dame like focus when he is in coverage that just, this is exactly what I am supposed to do. This is my key. I'm going to get to my set point. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to. He is a really good football player, just a good football player. And the reason why he didn't declare last year, and the reason why he might not declare or play in the NFL is because he's also a really good baseball player.
Did he play this year? I was just looking that up. The stats
Yeah, he was he was a 14th round pick.
Yeah, he was drafted. Did he play for Oregon this past season though?
Yeah, yeah, he's a two-way guy.
Okay. Okay.
Yep, two-way guy. So
I knew he played baseball, but I looked up his stats, and the only stats I saw were up to 2024, so I wasn't sure if he played this year or not.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's only played 2 seasons at football on the football team too, so that's pretty awesome.
He's awesome, man.
He's awesome. Yeah, I wrote down the same, like, bad out of hell, dude. He sees football, he goes gets football. Just like, but he's also fluid in his back pedal as well. I felt like he was getting depth, man. He gets depth in his back pedal.
That's what I'm saying.
Drew Aller threw that one touchdown over his head, but like that wasn't his responsibility. But I thought, like, oh, if Drew Aller tries to like laser this in, he could have picked that up, picked it off.
And
Aller
he
layered it pretty well.
Yeah, he was the guy who got kind of like beat on the Texas route from Singleton. That he ended up tripping Singleton up, and it wasn't a catch, but it was a really nice penalty actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's
a bad
dude.
Yeah.
He's a dude. He's a lot of fun. Interested to see what happens with him this year. Let's get to the two corners, man.
Okay. Which one do you want to start with? Do you want to start with the?
Yeah, let's just go through Theron Johnson right now. If you're telling me that he's going to play a position to where he can consistently play 8 yards off of the ball, we're good. He is very much not comfortable playing in a phone booth with guys as a reactionary athlete. I like his eyes. I think that he does a really good job as a flat coverage corner. So if your team runs a lot of cover 2, runs a lot of cloud, they do midpoints like crazy. He can get to the deeper throws. He can drive downhill and make tackles. He appears comfortable playing from depth. He keys misdirection. He shows understanding of route leverages, typical depth releases related with the top of route breaks. So he's able to really jump on in and out breaking routes, at 8 to 10, 12 yards. He flash, turn, and burn speed versus Maryland. But he's just not very comfortable when he's crowding somebody at the line of scrimmage. He's grabby. He kind of just like remains over the top of guys, kind of like we see a lot with Notre Dame, but it's more out of I don't trust myself than it is a coached thing at Oregon, from what I can tell. So
yeah,
I think that there's a probably limited ceiling with him, but a decent college football player overall.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about the other corner too.
Yeah, let's talk about him,
dude. So I had almost forgotten about Jaden Kennedy. And I had like almost like even like a couple weeks ago, I was like, oh, I remember that guy. Whatever happened to him? Because I just didn't keep up. Jaden Kennedy, I had him tagged all the way back when he was at Tulane. And it's like, this guy can play. Like, this guy can flat out play in the nickel for Tulane. Had kind of fallen off my radar after I stopped doing a lot of consulting where I was just mass watching players. But he transferred to Ole Miss after 2 years at Tulane, spent the past 2 years at Ole Miss, and is now at Oregon. And, I turned on some Ole Miss football. I watched the LSU game, and I watched the Florida game of Jaden Kennedy. And he can still play, believe it or not. I do have some reservations. Again, he can't turn and burn. Like, that's one thing that was, like, pretty clear to me right away is this guy cannot run. He cannot run. But and he's a little late off the line of scrimmage, opening his hips and press man. I think his feet are fine in press man, but there's no recoverability. So his margin for error is very narrow. And that scares me a little bit with him, that his margin for error is so small because, again, he's tiny. He's only 165 pounds, and he doesn't have vertical juice. So, like, the ability to recover is, like, almost out the window for him, in my opinion. But
I have him listed at 175, but
okay, 175. It's still not huge.
Not big.
But in terms of off man, that dude is not giving up any ground in catch technique. That dude is standing his ground. He's a gnat in off man. He'll sink into hips at will. His short area quickness is unbelievable. His change of direction, ability to mirror and stick with receivers off even some of their more steep breaks, is tremendous. And then he plays through the football really freaking well, dude. At the catch point, he plays through the football really well.
I didn't share my notes with you. I swear to God. I swear to God, guys, I did not share my notes with him. I don't have my notes shared with Corey. They're exactly the fucking same. He literally to the wording.
That's the issue.
Gnat like in man coverage, competes hard at the catch point, attacks through the hands well in the air. Like these are all things he's saying. And we did not talk about Canada before this podcast at all. Dude, Black's high end recovery speed.
In
the struggle
in
versus
LSU
Aaron
game,
Anderson, like you can't handle that kind of juice.
We got to talk about the LSU kid because I watched it and I kept like the beginning. I was like, man, this is really good. This is awesome. And then he's the one who got burned on those 2 overtime touchdowns. Both of them. One because he's trying to robot on a post up the seam and he just can't get there.
Yeah, he doesn't have the speed.
And then 2, Kyron Lacey, rest in peace, bullied the crap out of him at the catch point in that game-winning touchdown. Yeah. But this guy can play in the nickel. They played him. He played everywhere. Outside. He started outside the last half of the season at Ole Miss last year.
Yeah, he split time between out in free safety box. Like he was everywhere.
Outside. I would put him at free and I would put him at apex. Like that's kind of where I would rotate him in and out at.
Yeah, but you can kind of insulate. Yeah, but if you get him in a cover 3 scheme, like a cover 3 heavy scheme or a quarter scheme, you can really kind of insulate him a little bit and protect against that speed.
Yeah. Like 2-man systems where he can just trail. Yeah.
He could be like a DJ Reed type of guy.
He could be. But in the LSU game as well, dude, freaking Joshua Williams, again, didn't get drafted, like hardly an NFL running back, right? But like the dude is a quad god. He's one of those running backs who's a quad god. Gets into the open field. Kennedy squares him up and like wrestling takedowns him in the open field. Like so in my opinion, he'd be a good fit in like these cover 1, cover 3 schemes who ask their nickels to sling into run fits like crazy, like the Cleveland, like Jim Schwartz does with the Cleveland Browns. Yeah. Gus Bradley, like this pure cover, Dan Quinn, one of those guys who love to just have their nickels fly around the football and even sling into fits. Like I would feel comfortable throwing Kennedy in there. So I like the kid, but like
Jordan Lewis might be a nice comp for him, actually.
Could be. But yeah, he can't run. He cannot run. And I felt so bad every single time I watched somebody take off. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. I do love another thing that I love about Canada is that he's a yapper. And I love a yapper. That corner, I love a corner that yaps.
Positive and negative. Well, both positive because a yapper is positive. But the other positive being a yapper, he's really communicative post snap as well. You can see him directing traffic and calling out pass off.
And being able to do that from 8 different positions is pretty impressive.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's a 5th-year senior now. I really like Jaden Kennedy.
Me too.
Yeah.
He seems like that like 4th to 6th round guy.
Yep. I put a 5th on him, I think.
Who plays a lot of football in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. He's not like Mikey Sainristil, who's going to come in at that size and just freaking play balls to the wall. Because Sainristil's a converted receiver, good athlete, tackle.
Great athlete.
So we're not talking that kind of player, but this is a player who can play at the NFL level. For sure. Yeah.
That's it.
We ran
fun defense. They have a fun defense. A lot to pay attention to when it comes to potential development and then already having guys come in that are impressive players.
Yep. Agreed. I
don't have anything else, man. We can get out of here and
we'll round the week out with Daft or Draft probably tomorrow. And then we're on to Texas. Texas finished 4th, so we're on to Texas. Texas has some dudes too, so that'll be fun. Texas has a lot of young guys though, which is like
they do.
Other best players are not
a lot of young guys.
Yeah, like Colin Simmons and Ryan Wingo. Those guys we can't even talk about yet. So, but all right, Dalton, I will let you go to bed, man. It is you're burning the midnight oil over there at.
Yeah, I'm gonna go eat my last meal and then go to bed. But yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I've got. Until next time, this has been another episode of the Daft on Draft podcast.